Hi, everybody. I'm back live with another video. Alex Jones $1.5 billion judgment. Freedom of speech ain't free. Censorship is here. Um, but it is what it is. Incorporated without me having to go through all this. I need help, y'all. And it's getting stuck. One time with for the one time. Well, it sure isn't playing now. It's just stuck. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove it. Anyway, sorry about that. But I remember watching Alex Jones in the early 90s. That's how long he has been around. I remember him exposing the Bilderberg meetings, and Jacob Rothschilds would be there, and all heads of industry would be at those Bilderberg meetings that they still have to this day. It's once a year. I remember him exposing Bohemian Grove, where the presidents and head of industries meet every year, July, in the woods on the outskirts of San Francisco, and the sacrifices that they make with Moloch. And that has been proven. I remember him, he's did a lot. But what he did, now don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of stage events, to bring about changes in law, uh, to bring about gun control and those sort of things. There have been some stage events. But he kept saying that Sandy Hook was a staged event, and the families who lost their children and loved ones, because I think it was like 20 something children and six adults, teachers, well, they sued him. And he filed bankruptcy for his own personal assets. But what he should have did while he was going through this was get everything out of his name, put it in his wife name, kids name, anybody name. I'm just saying he didn't do that. And his company, so they want him to liquidate all of his assets so he can pay for this $1.5 billion judgment. So now and he was crying and everything. So now he doesn't know, what's gonna happen to Infowars. Well, he gonna have to maybe, probably start from scratch. You change the name Infowars too, and then you just gonna have to start from scratch. He already got 25 million followers, so that's what that would be. But if he does that and makes any money, they're gonna seize those assets as well. So this is really interesting, but freedom of speech ain't free. And it did cause a lot of hurt, harm, to the families that lost their loved ones. But, he has done a lot of good work other than, this particular unfortunate situation, you know. And again, my condolences to the Sandy Hook families that lost their children and loved ones. It was just a tragedy all the way around. But I'm just going to play a couple of videos. This video will be very short. Um,
It will still come to them in some way, and most likely for a very long time. Alex Jones. Today, a major step towards the families of Sandy Hook victims finally getting at least some of the money legally owed to them by right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. A judge clearing the way for Jones to liquidate his assets. Jones owes more than nearly $1.5 billion after being found liable for defaming Sandy Hook families, spreading lies about the 2012 massacre on his InfoWars media platform, claiming the shooting was staged, which it was not, and families and first responders were crisis actors, which they were not. Those families were subsequently harassed by some deranged fans of Alex Jones. Personal information, doxed online. The situation so bad, one family forced to move. As CNN's Hadas Gold reports, the financial situation for Jones likely means the end of his media empire built on lies. Alex Jones's InfoWars conspiracy empire facing its final days.
This is probably the end of InfoWars here very, very soon.
A bankruptcy judge in Houston has approved the liquidation of Jones's personal assets, while also considering liquidating the parent company of his notorious media brand, all to help pay the nearly $1.5 billion settlement he owes the Sandy Hook families.
$120 million.
Jones was found liable for defamation and emotional distress for his lies about the massacre that left 20 first graders and 6 educators dead in 2012. In the wake of Newtown, Connecticut shooting, Jones told his audience the massacre was a so-called false flag operation staged by the government and that the grieving parents were actors. An attorney for some of the families says this ruling will likely take away Jones's main megaphone.
And that's what I expect to happen. I think InfoWars will no longer exist. It will certainly no longer be a platform upon which Alex Jones can do all the damage he's done in the past.
Jones spouted lies even as he drove to the hearing in Houston on Friday.
It is all a brazen power grab.
Leading up to the hearing, he had been vacillating between tears, more lies.
It was the FBI and the Justice Department behind all these fake lawsuits against me to get me off the air.
And naked opportunism, peddling supposed dietary supplements until the last moment.
If you order any products at InfoWarsStore.com, you will get them before InfoWars is shut down.
But despite any liquidation, it's likely the proceeds will only make a small dent in the more than $1 billion Jones owes the families. But the family's attorney says the money is not what matters most. What would such a ruling mean for the families of the Sandy Hook victims?
What they're hoping to achieve is the most amount of accountability that the legal system can deliver. And money is just one component of that, and not the most important component of it. Their objective has long been to protect their families and other families from the type of harm that Alex Jones inflicted on them for years.
In Houston, the judge's ruling is finally potentially bringing some form of justice to the families who have already suffered too much.
They brought a lawsuit against all odds. They prevailed, and that there's some form of justice being administered here.
All right, the U.S. Supreme Court decision striking down the ban on bump stocks Coming on the same day, demolition began on the site of a school massacre in Florida. The building at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School is finally coming down more than 6 years.
So that may be the end of InfoWars, but I'm saying he can start something else, change the name and create it. But the bad thing about it, he probably won't be able to profit anymore on that name.
Breaking news coming in right now. As we have been on the air, we are learning a federal judge has dismissed conspiracy theorist Alex Jones's bankruptcy case for his company just a few hours after agreeing that his personal assets can be sold off. That means the future of InfoWars is up in the air as Jones tries to pay off the over $1 billion he owes in defamation verdicts to the families of Sandy Hook victims. Those families sued Jones after repeatedly calling the shooting a hoax. Remember, this was a massacre that the lives of 20 children, first graders, and 6 adults in Newtown in December 2012. A lawyer for the members of that they want to hold Jones no matter the cost, and that now they're on the brink of justice. NBC's Danny Ceballos joins me now. Danny, what does this mean for InfoWars' future and for the repayment for these families? And if InfoWars stays in business, as reprehensible as that may be to many families, might that allow, though, for a revenue stream to come into the families?
Possibly. First, there's the personal side. Alex Jones went essentially from personal reorganization, which is where you try to literally reorganize your assets and pay off creditors, but now he's gone into liquidation, which means he's selling off personal assets. I mean, not his primary home, he's going to keep that, but he's selling off a lot of personal assets to pay off some of these judgment creditors. And the judgment creditors is a bankruptcy term for the families in this case. But because the company itself got dismissed, that doesn't mean that the battle is over yet for the families. They can, I believe, file individual claims, but here's the challenge for them. If InfoWars goes forward, the value of InfoWars, it's not like a set of assets like trucks or widgets or something like that. The asset is Alex Jones. It's his company, his product. Without him, the company doesn't really have a lot of value. So on the one hand, something of a victory in that Alex Jones is liquidating his personal assets. But on the other hand, something of a loss for the families in that there's no liquidation of the companies itself. The families will start getting paid at some point, but in the world of bankruptcy, you don't get 100 cents on the dollar if you're a judgment creditor all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, understood. But I'm just wondering, assuming that InfoWars stays in business, assuming Alex Jones is part of it, and assuming they continue to bring in revenue, will that have to be funneled to families because he's not going to be able to get anywhere near what he owes them just by selling out personal assets?
Yes, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think going forward, the families are going to file these individual claims against the company for that purpose. I mean, it will essentially create kind of a free-for-all, every person for themselves among the families. But you're absolutely right. I mean, Alex Jones's personal assets are probably not enough to pay this judgment. Let's be honest. I don't think anything is enough to pay this judgment. Right. This is a huge judgment, and this is not the kind of at least these are creditors who are going to get something. Most of the time, judgments like that may be against someone who's mostly judgment-proof.
Yeah, I think for the families, it's not so much about the money as it is holding him accountable.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the end.
Well, it's safe to say that you can't say everything that you want to say, because you may end up
of the same attack.
It's unfortunate on both sides, and again, condolences to the families who lost their children and loved ones, and the adults and the teachers that passed away during that incident. That was a tragedy. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you.